Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living, with me, Mark Candelaria. I am an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I'm the founder and now partner of a fabulous 25-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours to Italy, Spain, and now Napa over the last 20 years, and in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. Our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspiring living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Because Inspiring Living is all about the people and the organizations that inspire us, we are excited to have Monogram Appliances as one of our sponsors. Anytime we do a new kitchen or a kitchen remodel, Monogram Appliances are what we recommend to our client. Their appliances are the definition of luxury, meticulously detailed using the finest materials and an ownership experience that is second to none. This is how Monogram is always thinking ahead and inspiring and elevating the kitchen experience. Because at Monogram, they don't just elevate one thing, they elevate everything. Okay, I've got a really fun podcast. I've been looking forward to this one because, first of all, I love this lady. She's got amazing energy. I remember very clearly the first time I met her, and I'm going to post some really fun from that first day that we met that I happened to come across the other day. So we're going to enjoy that. I've got Julianne McKay, Palmer. I mean, which I always get mixed up. Which one do I go by?
I'm a Palmer now.
You're a Palmer
yep.
now.
My first marriage, I was McKay.
Okay.
So my kids are still McKay. I'm Palmer.
You're Palmer.
Yep.
Okay. You're Julianne to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
So this lady, she is a fabulous, fabulous photographer, and I've got the privilege of speaking this coming Monday, February 10th, at an event in Mesa where they're going to have 40 of the top photographers from the world in town for a conference.
Woo!
You're probably not at that conference right now.
No,
but I guarantee you, in sometime in the future, you will probably be leading this whole conference, if not at least attending it. But I could see you actually leading it. So,
oh yeah,
you know how I put things out there for you.
Oh yes,
right, which we'll
your
talk
words
about.
Create your life.
Yes.
So there you go.
There you go. So we met way back when. We'll talk about that. But you are just a ball of energy. I just absolutely love you. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
You're so fun to work
I feel
with.
the same towards you.
And I think the two of us, when we're together, there's just a lot of energy in the room when we're collaborating, right?
It's fun. Yep.
Right. So I think one thing I want to talk about is, like, what are you doing right now? I mean, right now you just finished shooting our spot that's in the Phoenix Home and Garden magazine. That's in the current issue right now.
Yes.
You shot that over the holidays, or right before the holidays, or
yes.
right during the holidays,
yes.
right?
And that house is amazing.
It's a house I can't say where it is, but it's in Arizona. Let's
yes.
say that. It's a beautiful French-inspired home.
Yes.
And your photos of that home are absolutely breathtaking. The house is pretty awesome. But you took it to a whole nother level, which I love, and that's why I like working with you, because you do that with all my work. My work's okay, but you make it great.
Whatever. Your work is amazing, so it's a treat to be able to photograph it.
It's awesome. So I really encourage you to pick up the latest issue of Phoenix Home and Garden. The article is called Sleeping Beauty. The home was built by Greg Hunt, and my partner Vivian Ayala was the project manager on the project at the time. This is a house that we did in early 2001 too, so almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, photographing that house was such a treat. It was almost like going back to Europe, getting away from Phoenix, getting
without
away
a passport,
from
without
Arizona.
carrying your luggage.
Exactly, and it was like, the wavy windows and just
right.
all the client had these beautiful antiques everywhere and beautiful art, and it's just like, it was like stepping out of Arizona and going.
It really is,
to
isn't
Europe.
it?
Yeah, for sure.
And then the materials that she used in the house, we got reclaimed wood floors from France.
Yeah.
The house is an old adobe Phoenix house from 1929. Like you said, it's got the slump glass, so it's got
Yeah.
the wavy glass. It's
Yeah.
got the Cremone bolts on the doors and windows.
So pretty.
So yeah, it's it's definitely it's like transporting yourself to another time and another place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you captured all that in your photography, which I thought was fantastic.
I try.
And it was kind of interesting because I had you shoot the house first, and then we found out the article or the feature was about art and artists. So we had to send you back out again to
Yep.
shoot some of the art, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw that, I didn't really pay, I saw the pictures in Phoenix Home and Garden, but I actually went through Dropbox, I think last night, and
Yeah.
saw all of the ones that you
Yeah.
took of the second shoot.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So
The second shoot was much more detailed, honed in on the art, and honestly, I don't remember if they used those ones. Which
they used a couple of them,
Yeah.
I think.
they might have used a couple, but
Yep.
yeah.
That would turned out really nice. So, okay, so we met back in 2013, I think is what you came up with, right?
That's what I think. Yeah.
And we
That's
had a
what I came
shot
up
in
with.
another 1929 house, the Luke residence, which is now another client of ours bought the house on North Central. It's a kind of a old clinker brick Tudor house. Probably seen it on the west side, just south of Glendale. Famous
It's
house,
amazing.
2 acres on Central with a lake.
It's so pretty. Yeah.
I mean, it's so awesome. We created the lake out of irrigation water because they had irrigation. So we said, well, why not make a lake? So
So pretty.
He stocked it with bass, and he fishes off the little dock
He
that
does.
we built. Yeah.
Oh my word.
So that's the day we met.
Yeah. So the day we met, so Mira, who is at the time, I think she was doing marketing for you.
Yeah, she's doing marketing.
And I met her in Crown King, Arizona, of all places. Like, where
so
do you
that's
meet
where
someone?
you two met.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're big
So-
Crown King people.
Yeah. So I had a friend who had a cabin up there at the time, and I was going through a divorce, and actually my divorce might have just been completed, and she asked me to come do these headshots of you. So I show
that's
up.
Right. That's what it was for.
Yeah, and the day that they were, of course, I had my son who was in first grade at the time. He's 12 now, but he was in first grade at the time, and he
was sick.
he
if I
was
remember
sick,
right.
so I had to bring him along. I show up, and I'm like at this mansion, beautiful home, and I'm like, oh my word, what am I getting into? I have my sick kid. And then we took those photos of you in the bathtub.
Yep.
Yeah, and that are kind of like when people were
Not
like,
just
who
any
are you?
bathtub. It was a carved marble
That
full
marble,
tub.
beautiful tub.
Yeah.
But like when I'm shooting houses for you of clients, I'm always like, yeah, I'm the one that did the bathtub shot of Mark. and they know
it.
that shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty iconic
But,
shot.
Yeah. I remember you're sitting in that bathtub and you said to me, or you're talking, I think you're going to Italy in a couple weeks.
That sounds like normal for me.
Yeah, it does, right? So you were going to Italy in a couple of weeks, and they were videoing you for your show when you
Right.
were when
I was
you were
doing
on your
sketch
show. Yeah,
on
you
the
were
Design
Sketch.
Network.
So they were videoing you and talking to you. You're sitting in the bathtub, and you're talking about Italy.
Had a glass of wine and a cigar.
Yep.
Of
Classic
course.
Mark. So you're sitting there, and you're talking about Italy, and Lake Como came up. Well, in high school, I'm an artist.
Uh-huh.
Draw, paint, make jewelry, all that. Anything
Yep.
artistic I love. So you're talking about Lake Como, and in high school I was looking up pictures to paint, and I found all these pictures of Lake Como, and I was like, oh my word, I've got to go there someday. So you're sitting in the tub talking about that, and you're talking about Lake Como, and I said, oh my word, that's on my bucket list. I'm going there someday. And you said to me, keep photographing for me, and I'll take you there someday.
Yeah, and 2013 actually was the year that Isabel and I got married
Yeah,
at Lake Como.
I think that's what you guys were all talking
That could
about.
be what
that
we were preparing for.
Lake Como was going to be special this year and everything.
Yep.
So, and then,
Sure enough.
fast forward, your words came true. Like, I'm a firm believer that our words create our world.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, so when we went to Italy, it was like, no, you created that. And then I just was lucky
You just
enough.
merged on that freeway lane, and there you were on Lake Como on the boats with us.
Yep.
Pretty amazing. That was only 5 years later.
I know. So,
Yep.
pretty awesome.
Anything's possible, isn't it?
It is possible. Anything is possible, and we create our lives every day.
Every day. Yep. And that's just it. I think we tend to get lost in the momentum of our life and forget that today is the day. Today is the most important thing.
Oh, yeah. Be
right?
present.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
be present. Don't be thinking so far out there, because 90% of that's never even going to happen the way you think it's going to happen.
For real.
But what's going to happen the way you think is going to happen is today,
right.
because you're in it right now, just like you said.
Yeah.
Being present.
Being present.
Right.
Yeah. Key
Yeah.
to life. Key to
So-
life and key to happiness, I think, too.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into that a little bit. So let's get back. Where were you born? Were you born here in Arizona?
No, I'm a Utah girl.
Oh, you're a Utah girl.
So I'm a Utah Mormon.
Mormon girl.
Yep.
It's tough hanging out with Candelaria if you're a Mormon, right?
No.
You do a good job, though.
No, we still have fun.
Yeah, we still have fun. And I have a designated driver, which is really,
exactly.
really nice.
I can always drive for you. It's all good. Although in Italy, I'm not a very good driver.
That's okay.
The roads are too
You're better than me after a few glasses of wine, so I'm still way far ahead. So you're born in Salt Lake, or where in Utah?
I was born in Murray, and then I grew up in Farmington, Utah.
Okay.
So it's a little town it's about half an hour north of Salt Lake City.
Okay.
So,
actually, you know what? I was stopped there for breakfast on my way to Idaho last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It's just tiny, quaint.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot bigger than when I grew up there, but it's just and my family, my parents still live there in the same house.
Wow.
In the same.
So your parents are still alive?
Yep.
That's cool.
They're both still alive.
Do you see them very often?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's not too far,
Yeah.
so we stay pretty close. Like we usually go up for the summertime. I usually take the kids and we go up and escape and it's a quick flight, an hour.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I like flying to Salt Lake. It's easy because I like to fly up there to go up to Park City and go ski.
Yeah.
And I can leave here at 6:30 in the morning on a flight, and I'm on the slopes by 10:30.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
It's perfect.
And it's a nice drive. I mean, we're doing a house in Salt Lake right now.
I know. I can't wait to photograph it.
Yeah.
Let me know when. And
it's an amazing house. Woo.
I have free room and board. So.
That sounds good. So you're this little girl in Murray, Utah. Is that what you said?
Farmington.
Farmington.
Yeah.
Farmington, Utah. And tell us about that. What was like? How many kids were in your family?
So,
you're Mormon, so there's probably 30 or
no, 4.
Oh, 4. Okay.
So there's 4 of us. I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Okay.
I'm the second child.
Okay.
So,
second oldest.
Yep, second oldest,
okay.
And I just grew up a pretty normal life. My dad's big outdoors guy, so we went outside a lot. We went camping a lot.
Yeah.
I love outdoors. I love nature.
So were you a photographer when you were young, or artist, or
an artist? And I had a camera. Like in high school, I got a camera one year for Christmas, and I always liked taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't something I really was like, I'm going to be a photographer someday. It was just another artistic outlet that I liked to do.
Right.
But in high school, I'd say I was one of those girls who's always doodling. I had a sketch pad with me everywhere I went.
Right. That's cool.
I'm in math doodling.
So when you were in high school, though, what was your vision? Were you like, okay, because we've got kids now that are in high school.
I know.
And we're seeing us.
Isn't that so weird?
Oh, it's crazy, right? Like, God, was I like that? I couldn't have possibly been that. I feel like I was so much more focused than where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do than my kids are.
Oh, I don't think I was. I don't think I was at all.
So what did you want to do?
I think I just wanted to get married and have a family.
And
to be
stay
honest.
in Utah?
I didn't care really.
I
didn't have like a vision of like leaving or anything like that.
So in high school's done, did you go to college or what did you do?
I went to Weaver State University.
Yep.
I got my Associates of Art degree.
Okay.
Then I met my now ex-husband, and he went to law school. We moved to New York.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Syracuse, New York.
Holy cow, I've been to Syracuse, New York once.
I had a job in Utah working for an orthodontist while I was going to college.
Yeah.
So I'm a orthodontic dental assistant.
Photographer. Were you taking a picture of teeth then,
yeah.
though, right?
Yeah, you do take pictures of teeth.
So you moved from teeth to houses. Wow, that's quite a transition.
Houses are way more fun.
Yeah. Well, that's so ironic.
Especially your houses.
Ironically, I was at the dentist this morning to get my teeth cleaned. So,
oh, were you?
Yeah, so that's funny you brought that up.
Yeah.
So you're in Syracuse, New York with your ex-husband.
Yes.
Living there. He's studying law.
Yeah.
And that's a good law school.
It is a good law school.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still an attorney. So,
okay.
He has his own firm. So,
how long were you there?
We were there for since, 2001 to 2002 or 3.
Okay.
Law school's 3 years. So.
Yep. Okay.
And then we moved here from law school. We were trying to thaw out because it's so cold there.
Yeah. So who wanted to come here to Phoenix?
It was probably more him. Okay. He made most of the decisions in our marriage.
Yeah. What kind of law?
He graduated in just general law, and then he went into doing class action lawsuits.
Okay.
So
was he kind of argumentative a little bit?
Very. He's very much a red personality, if you know like the personality colors. He's a red personality, and he's a typical attorney, and so I'm like happy-go-lucky,
Oh, yeah.
don't tell me what to do. I want to do my own thing, free bird type person.
Yeah.
And he was very
Just the opposite.
very
Methodical and
controlling.
controlling.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So you got married in what year? 2001?
Yeah.
And then you were married for 10 years, roughly.
Yeah. Well, 10, 12, yeah.
Yeah. So you moved to Phoenix, and what year was that?
Let's see. It was 2004.
Four?
Yeah, 2004.
So from 4 to 11, what were you doing?
So
you
I
had some
had
kids.
Yeah, I had my first baby in 2005.
Okay.
I was still working as an orthodontic assistant all through my pregnancy. I had him
Down here then.
Yeah, in Arizona.
Okay.
So I had my first son Tyler.
Okay.
And then I kept working as an orthodontic assistant. We bought a house in Ahwatukee, lived there for a couple, and then I had my second son, and then I stayed home with my kids because after you have so many kids, you can't work and make money.
Yeah, it's kind of going
It's a wash.
backwards. It's a wash. Yeah,
It's
you
a
might as well
wash.
just stay home then.
You might as well stay home. So I stayed home with my kids for, and actually until I got divorced. So.
So tell us about. I mean, how did? And I don't want to go too deep here.
No, you're good.
I know. Obviously, I've been divorced twice, so I know how tough it is and how painful it is. So, from being married, having 3 kids, to getting divorced, that's quite a transition.
Yeah.
What brought on that transition? I mean, what were you trying? You said your husband was controlling. Did you lose yourself and you were trying to refine yourself?
I feel like, I mean, anyone who's been a stay-at-home parent knows that it's very easy to lose yourself.
Right.
In that.
Everything's just about the kids.
It's all about the kids. You don't really have in touch with anyone outside your house. I mean, I did. I had friends and all that, So you go outside of your house and you make friends and things. But it's easy to lose touch with who you are as an individual and what makes you tick and what makes you shine and what makes you happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I had a spouse who didn't help me in any way to and I shouldn't say that. I can't blame things on him, right? We have to be responsible for our own happiness and our own life. But yeah, so it was just I struggled with being a stay-at-home parent.
Right.
It was a hard time for me.
Were you depressed? Did you get depressed?
I think I was depressed.
Yeah.
Back then I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
But looking back, I was like, I was very definitely depressed, and I'm one of those people who likes to be doing something all the time, and likes to be, and usually I'm doing like 3 or 4 things because I'm like crazy like that. But
I think that's why we get along so well.
Maybe
our ADD just kind of plays ping pong off each other.
I'm like, wait a minute, squirrel.
Let's do this.
Yeah. But actually, through my kids is where I started photography. It was when I was that stay-at-home mom phase. I was pregnant with my last son.
Yeah.
And my artisticness, of course, I had a blog, and I was on, I'd get online and you'd look through people's blogs, and it's like, I'm going to take newborn photos of my son, Andy.
Yeah. And
so I got online. I bought a DSLR camera, and I was like, I'm going to take his newborn photos.
It's awesome.
And that's where I first got into it. Yeah, and then it just kind of evolved. I took his pictures. They're not very good.
Well,
looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, those are horrible.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, totally. So, and then I learned a lot online. I would get into just watching YouTube videos and reading up on how cameras work and why, and it's just another artistic outlet, though.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about photography, and I think also like architecture and so many different arts, is like, well, not all arts, but it's all about the light. Mm-hmm. I look at photography and I look at your work and, where you place a window and how it shines in. And photography is the same thing. Where's the light going to show?
And the
how's
contrast
it gonna,
between the darkness and the light.
Yeah, and what color is that light? You know, and so it's kind of
like life, right?
Yeah, the light and the dark. And,
you kind of go through both through life. You go through the light moments and you go through the dark moments.
Yeah, and honestly, you need both in order to have a beautiful photo.
Yeah,
or a beautiful
you need the darkness
design.
in life. I think that's part of it too. It's like you need the darkness in order to appreciate the light.
For sure.
I think you see people that are in the light, and you eventually see them crash and burn because they have nothing to ground themselves and appreciate the light that they're in.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like for me, I think those dark times, like when I got divorced and I went through my divorce, it presses you to learn about yourself.
Right.
It presses you to learn about life. Like if I would have just stayed in my hunky dunky, world,
Situation.
which it wasn't hunky dunky and great, it
Yeah.
was actually quite miserable. But if I would have stayed in there, I would have never been pressed to look at why, or
Right.
question why, or learn the tools that I've learned to be able to be happy, or to
Right.
create my life.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like
go ahead.
those times helped me to find myself more,
Yeah.
find out about
My
humanity.
situation was the same thing. Very, very similar.
Yeah.
But at some point, it takes courage to do
Yeah.
what you did.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to go out on the edge of the diving board and take that dive.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sit there on the board forever and contemplate the dive, but
Right.
there's that day that you finally decide, today's the day I'm leaving,
Yeah.
right? And I'm changing my life, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna go venture and see where this goes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. It was scary.
Scary, right?
It was scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was scary. But looking back, I don't regret any of it.
Right.
I can remember, so I had just left my husband, and I remember I was having a really hard time making decisions. I really struggled with.
Yeah, you can't.
with,
it's so difficult to assess anything.
Yeah, and honestly, I was so used to letting him make all the decisions.
Right.
And so for me, because it's easier to let someone else take responsibility, right?
Sure.
Than to have us. So I let him make a lot of the decisions in our marriage.
And
so
then you
I
were probably
struggled.
not happy with some of them.
No. So I struggled, not at all.
All right.
So then I struggled a lot. So I can remember I was talking to my mom one time, and she told me to call her cousin, because she'd gone through divorce,
Yeah.
similar circumstances and things. And she told me to call, so my cousin, I called her. She told me to call Judy, which is my friend. She lives in Mesa. She does soul-centered creation workshops.
Cool.
She has a master's in spiritual psychology. She's amazing. But she told me to go do landmark form.
Okay.
So I went and did the landmark form, and I think that was one of the pivotal changing points in my life, is when I did that program.
So this was after you'd left.
It was after I left. I was in the middle of, my ex wanted me to come back. I was trying to make a decision of where to go with myself.
Tough. Yeah.
And she said, go do this. It'll help give you clarity.
Right.
And I mean, I guess it helped me make a decision, but for me, it helped me see more of who I am. It helped empower me to have a voice. It helped me to be able to, they talk a lot about being present in their, they talk a lot about the voice in your head,
Right.
Your ego.
That we all have.
Yeah, that we all have. That
And it's
usually,
easy when you're in that situation too. And I kind of slipped into this, is you fall into the victim mode.
oh, for real.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, poor me, I got a divorce, I got to live in a little apartment now, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of can see yourself going down this rabbit hole of everything is about the dark side again.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with something, then finding, hey, this is an opportunity to really discover myself.
Yeah.
And push the boundary of who I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and I really got responsible. And I got responsible for my life.
Right.
And got me out of the victim mode of like, oh, it's everyone else's responsibility to make me happy.
Everyone else's fault.
Yeah, it's their fault or my fault. Like,
Yeah.
it really got me responsible for creating my life.
Right.
And gave me a lot of tools to be empowered and like, positive.
Yeah.
So,
And the word you used in your bio to me was perspective, which I think is just an amazing word, because it really is all about your perspective on everything.
oh, for sure.
I think a lot of people get stuck in this rut, and if you can just change your perspective, it's like photography, it's like architecture, it's about the perspective, right?
Right.
Where you stand in the room to take that shot, you can stand over here, you can stand over here, and it has a whole different look and a whole different outcome.
Right.
And our lives are the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, it's your belief system too. Like,
Sure.
if you question the way that you view it or your belief, like, is that real? Is that really
The real
reality?
is that really
or is
reality?
that something that you believe in your
or
head?
something you're making up in your head.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so I think sometimes if we stop and look back, it's easy for us to get caught in our heads rather than what's.
Yeah. And I think what I learned too was it's so easy to look in the rearview mirror and do that analysis and just be stuck in that.
Yeah.
Then looking forward and say, where can I go? What can I do that's going to have a change in my life
Right.
going forward.
Right.
You know, I think and then people just get stuck in this backward mode, and it's like they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You
Be
know,
present. Be
you
present.
Talk about the creator mode. Creator mode's cool. What's that all about?
So I really believe that you can take any part of your life and evaluate it. So let's say you're in a, for example, I wanted to have a successful photography business.
Right.
So you can look at my life, or you can look at your life and go, okay, what do I need to do to create that?
Right.
You know? And then you can take actions that follow through on that and create it.
Sure.
I think too, like, if let's take an example, like in your marriage, if you have like a boring marriage, or you've been married for a long time and it's just kind of blah blah blah, it's not exciting anymore, you can look at it and go, okay, what do I want to do to create?
Right.
You know,
you're in charge of that.
Yeah.
Everyone
exactly.
just like waits for something to happen.
Yeah. No.
And it's like, no, make something happen.
Yes.
Right.
And sometimes it's not even like. Sometimes it's just like changing who you're being in that. You know what I mean?
You can change you.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are always trying to change the other person.
Yeah, you don't change another person.
You can't change the other person.
No.
Right?
You have to change your own way of being in the situation.
And then that person merges onto your highway and comes with you, and they change along. But yeah, focusing on trying to change someone else is the biggest freaking waste of time in the world.
For sure.
And I always think it's the easy way out for a lot of people. It's easy to try to change someone else because you don't have to, you can just constantly blame them for not changing.
Well, you don't have to take responsibility for your own crap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like anything, though, like in photography. If I want to have success and that's my end goal,
right.
Who am I being?
Right.
What am I doing to create that? If I want to have a happy marriage,
what
or
am I
a
doing?
fun or exciting marriage, or whatever you want, or I want to be a good mom.
Yep.
Who are you being?
Right.
You know, you can always say it's my kids are little turds.
Yeah.
But who are you being in the face of your kids being a turd?
Right. It's up to you. Everything's up to you.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So you go through some of this. You do a lot of self-analysis.
Yeah.
You're
doing a lot of self-analysis.
You're doing and it's
Painful.
good, right? Oh, I know. And my first divorce, I went to one of my girlfriends was seeing a therapist, and I started to see her. And it was one of the best things I ever did.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but the more I got into it and read books and journaled and started learning, it's like, holy cow, there's a whole person in here I completely forgot about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, there's a lot I can be doing here with me, not worrying about everybody else.
Yeah. And
just start focusing on myself.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way. I mean, not in a egotistical or, but just do the work.
Yeah, do your work.
That's what she used to always say. You got to do the work.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've gone through divorce. You got 3 little kids. You're a single mom.
It's a single mom.
You're doing the work.
I was doing my work.
Right.
I was digging through all my crap. Yeah.
And so that's tough, isn't it?
It is hard. It's hard to go through.
You moved out? You lived in an apartment, or what did you do?
I found this little house in as a single mom, I wanted to find a place in Scottsdale close to where there are schools and stuff. But you know how expensive Scottsdale is compared. So I found a little house in Tempe. I paid like $950 a month. It's a 3-bedroom little house, garage, the whole thing.
That's cool.
So I was working as an orthodontic assistant, and then I was doing my photography. Still working away at that because it's something I love and I was passionate about.
And you're still doing kids and
picking kids up. Driving them to school.
But I mean photography work. You were shooting people and children?
Oh, yeah. I was shooting mainly...
You weren't doing architecture yet?
Mainly families and people. And then I started dating a guy who was a realtor. Mm-hmm. And so I shot a couple houses for him. Mm-hmm. So then I kind of got into that. And then I did some shoots for you with Mira. I did like a birthday poster in a house over... I can't remember where it was, but...
And how did you meet Mary? You met her at Crown King.
In Crown King.
But just randomly?
And then we were Facebook friends. Yeah.
Okay. And she found out about your photography, or you told her about it?
I don't know if she found out from Facebook or if I told her, or I don't even remember.
I think it might have been Facebook.
So, anyway, so I did a shoot for your birthday poster of all your all of your employees posing like you.
Yeah, that's right. That was a lot of fun. I remember that.
And I talked to her at that shoot, and she, and then I was like, I really love this house. Is so gorgeous, and like it's so fun. It would be so fun to shoot houses and things.
Right.
So I talked to her a little bit about that. Nothing really came about of it, and then and then I started shooting real. Well, this is like, and then fast forward. So I was single, or not fast forward. So I was single,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how it is when you're single and you're dating, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's not. I had a lot of fun
Oh, yeah.
actually when I was
I had
single.
my share of fun, but God,
But the dating is like,
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting, you
Yeah.
know. It's like, so so my same girlfriend who told me to do Landmark, Judy, she's like, you should write down everything that you want in a spouse or a partner.
Right.
You should write it down. So I wrote it all down. I wrote down, you know, what I wanted him to look like. I used to love to go swing dancing and country swing dancing.
Yeah,
so I was like, that was on my list. Like, I was pretty specific on what I wanted.
That's good.
And I kept dating.
Yep.
And I was like, this dating thing sucks.
Where
is this guy that I'm like created? You know,
Right.
I'm like, when's he
showing up?
Yeah, like I was single for like 2.5 years, and I was like, I'm sick of this.
Yep.
So I did guys that were great and everything. There was just something missing, or it just wasn't right. So then finally, my current husband found me through Facebook.
Huh. That's how Isabel and I met.
Yeah, he found me on Facebook. He was newly single.
Okay. So he'd been married before too.
Yeah, he's been married twice.
And he's got 3 boys.
3 boys.
And you have 3 boys.
Yeah, so we have 6 boys.
You're the Brady Bunch, just all boys.
It's just wild.
And about the same age, all three.
Yeah.
3 of them, and 3 of them are about the same age,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
They're like doot.
So you met him on Facebook.
So he found me on Facebook as someone. I popped up as someone he might know. We
Right.
had 2 mutual acquaintances, so I don't know how I popped up. So I popped up, and he's like, "Oh, she's cute.
That's how our story.
Oh,
Same thing.
she has boys.
Yep.
Oh, she's a photographer." So he went on, and he called me actually to take pictures of him and his boys, like
Okay.
as a way to meet me, you know.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, well, who's this guy calling to take pictures? You know, you got to check him. Sketchy. It could be sketchy.
Well,
you know?
he had his boys, so that was
Yeah,
a little
I was
bit
like,
safer.
okay, so he has kids, but I was like, okay, who's this guy? And I saw that he's very outdoorsy. I was like, oh, he has quads. He has like machines. He could take me and my kids out. This would be fun. So he's Mormon as well. So he called me, and we set up a day to do photos of him and his kids. So our church does like firesides, and they were doing a musical like presentation.
So is he part of your church?
He's Mormon.
Yeah.
We didn't go to the same building or anything.
Yep.
So we both show up to this fireside, and I'd never met him, and I was late. So I walk in and I sit down, and he's like an aisle away from me, like me, an aisle, him.
Okay.
And so he's like, this is what he's always like, you came in, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the girl. Like, so that's how we met.
And you had your list right there with you. It's like check, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like that. I was just like, oh, you're just another dude.
Another dude.
Another dude like,
across
whatever.
the aisle.
Another dude. Like,
that's funny.
But so that's how we met, and then
went from there.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I was seriously happy being single to an extent, you know, like I wanted to have somebody, but at the same time I was scared to death of marriage or a relationship.
Yep.
So in some ways I was running away from relationships, and like I can remember this one night we just talked, like all night, him and I just talked, and I was like, you know what? Like, this is the guy, you know?
You knew it.
I did. I knew it.
Now, writing that list down.
That didn't make it less scary for me.
Oh, yeah. It's always scary.
The fear was still there. Like, that fear of my past was still right there. Like, marriage is not a happy thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, I had to really
Isabel,
face that.
I'm a rescue husband. I've got my
You're tamed
scars.
down?
Yeah, I've got my scars. You gotta pet me gently, and then I'm a real nice cat after that, you know.
Yeah.
But we all have our scars that we carry.
Yeah.
And they're there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think over time they go away, but they don't ever, I don't think, ever really go away. I think they're always there. Yeah. Which helps you appreciate how good things are, you know, in your current life.
Yeah.
Because you go, oh my God, this is so much better.
Yeah.
You know, you have that thing to compare it to.
Yeah.
And I think when you don't, you kind of take it for granted.
Oh, absolutely.
Sense?
Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah. No, my current husband, Jared, is an amazing man.
Yeah. I've met him several times. Great guy.
Great guy.
So how much do you think writing all that list down helped manifest what ultimately came your way?
I think it helped me put into perspective like what I wanted.
Right.
Like sometimes I feel like, and that I wouldn't settle. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah, you
Like,
when you write things down like that, it helps bring clarity.
oh yeah,
And I think your subconscious then remembers it, and when it sees it, it it gravitates to
yeah.
it. Does that make
Well,
sense?
yeah, and I honestly feel like, and maybe this is just because I'm religious, but I honestly feel like we co-create our lives with
Oh
God.
yeah.
And I feel like if you write it down or you say, this is what I want to be a photographer,
Yeah. Right.
or I want to be in a happy marriage. I want to find the right guy, and you or girl,
Right.
and you write it down and you really believe it,
Yep.
and then you keep working
And
towards
stick to it and
Stick
commit
to
to
it.
it.
Have faith.
Yep.
Don't
Have faith.
don't get scared.
Yep.
And don't let fear stop you.
Yep.
But and don't settle.
Right.
Keep moving forward and taking
Yep.
the actions.
Yep.
Then eventually I feel like God or angels or whatever
Right.
help you to get what you want in your life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Like you co-create your life with God.
It's the creator mode.
For sure. Creator
Right?
mode.
There you go, right?
Yes.
So you've done that with your personal life, with your husband, and then you've done that same thing with your photography work, right? And your
Yeah.
photography work's kind of become a big deal.
Well, I don't feel like it's a big deal because that's just my whole story. But it is a big deal,
It
and
is a
it's
big
pretty
deal.
awesome.
I
Yeah,
mean, you're in Phoenix Home and Garden.
I know.
It's like the 4th time this year.
I know.
Right?
It's
And I
kind
think
of
there's
surreal.
another thing coming up next month from what
Yeah,
I understand. I just can't say anything about it. So you
and that's something that's kind of crazy too, because I know I work with you, and so it's
Mhm.
not like unrealistic to be like, oh, you're going to be in a magazine because you work with Mark. He's pretty like hot shot, right?
Yeah, but your work would have found its way there no matter what.
Yeah. Well,
I think.
yeah. So, what was I going to say? Oh, I actually was like, I was meeting with my coach, Judy, and
Mhm.
and we were talking about this, and she was talking about where do you want your photography to go? Like, what do you want in your future with that? And I was like, it would be cool to be in a magazine. I'd like to be published.
Yep.
And then, like, a month later, it happens.
It happens. Yeah. And then look, you ended up going to Italy with me to Lake
Yes.
Como.
Yes.
Right?
Which you created that with your words that one
Yep.
day, and it happened. So
So when I said that to you, what did you think? Did you think, you know what, that might just happen? Did you believe that?
I don't know that I believed it. But I was like, that'd be cool. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know that I was like, oh, he's going to take me to Italy, and I'm like set on that, or clinging to that it has to happen.
Right.
But it was one of those things where I like, that would be cool,
Yep. And you've been on my Spain trip,
Yes.
which was a great trip.
Oh, that was an awesome trip.
And
I
then-
loved
And
Spain.
then we did the Italy trip. and
Italy
we
was
ended
amazing.
up at Lake Como.
Yes.
Kind of reenacted our wedding.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun. Not
That
our
was
wedding,
fun.
but Isabel and my wedding.
Yes. Your wedding.
And then we've got Napa coming up
Yes. I'm
In-
excited for that.
in about, a month and a half.
It's coming fast.
This will be our
It's
first
like-
Napa tour. And we were talking about you better mark a calendar for late May, because I think we're talking about dragging you to Santa Fe
Oh, fun.
to pre-shoot for our Santa Fe tour.
Oh, cool.
And then in 2021, where we just met today, we are working on our Paris-London tour. It's a combined
So
Paris-London
London, and actually France as well have been on my radar of where I want to go. So I want to go to the Coswells.
Oh, yeah, that's supposed to be beautiful.
So pretty.
So you got to put that on your list.
Okay.
So get ready for that.
Sounds like a fun party.
We love your pictures. So tell us about your photography work. I mean, it's evolved over time, as you said.
Yeah,
I mean, you look
I've
back
gotten
at
better.
you do. The more you do it, you keep refining, right?
Yeah, for
you keep
sure.
seeing, as I do my houses, it's the same thing. I said, oh, I could do that a little better next
Yep.
time. And, every subsequent client is just a beneficiary of
Yep.
all your learning. And so it just gets better and better and better. What have you learned about photography? I mean, when you do the houses, what I like about working with you is, and I've watched your eye maybe adapt to my eye or something, or like we're in sync.
Yeah.
So I see more of your photos
I've been told
are the
that-
way I would take the photo
Yeah, I've been told
without
that
me telling you how to
I've
take
been
it.
told that my style by a girlfriend who's does marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me that my style very much syncs with yours.
Yeah.
She's like, you definitely have like that vibe,
Yeah.
that Candelaria style.
Yeah, no, it's
So.
you definitely do, and I love the fact, and I just watched the progression of your shots as they've gone through, and it really does. I think it's fun when I can go out there on the site with you and kind of walk it and tell you what I'm kind of thinking, because
Yeah.
you're a good listener and you just capture
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and I think there's so much of it that isn't expressed in words. It's expressed in what I'm looking at, and
Yeah.
you look at what I'm looking at. You go, oh, I see what he's seeing.
Well, I feel like your architecture or almost anything artistic that you create, tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I just try to capture that story
That's
Of-
interesting.
of like
I didn't
or
think
the-
about it that way,
or,
but that's
or
what
the
that is
feeling,
what you do.
the story,
Yeah,
you
the
know what I
mood
mean? The mood.
of
You
the
try
house.
to capture that.
Like
yeah.
the house we
The
just
story
did.
of the house
Yeah.
or yeah.
No, that's good. I never realized that, but that's exactly what you're doing.
That's what I try to do.
You're doing that very
Thank
nicely.
you.
So you're taking you do a lot of work for me. You do a lot of work for Isabel now.
Yeah.
You're doing some work for some other builders and
Yeah.
designers out there. I think
Yeah.
you're getting a little more discovered, right?
Yes.
They're seeing your work in Phoenix Home and Garden all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So it's like, who is this girl? So do you get any cold calls?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's good.
A few.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun to be able to work with somebody and see what they, to be able to help them
Right.
in their,
Progression.
and in their industry or
Right.
careers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like photography is one of those things that, especially nowadays, is so vital to be able to
Oh yeah.
show your work.
Yeah, and you do a good job on social media.
So, actually, I barely started social media. What was it? Right before we went to Italy?
Italy?
Or to Spain.
Spain, Because
I
those
was
were the
just
same year, weren't
barely-
they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just barely starting social media. I'm like, I'm a photographer and I don't have Instagram. Well, I had Facebook,
Yeah.
but I didn't have
Instagram
Instagram.
seems to be better for photography and
for
architecture.
For sure. But I was like, I didn't have it. I was like, I don't know how to do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I made a goal that I was like, okay, I need to get my Instagram, at least to have something on there, right? So
If Mark can do it, I can do
if
it.
Mark can do it, well, you're like Mr. Doing everything. Look, you're doing podcasts. But I was like, okay, I need to post one picture a day.
Yeah.
So
that's all you have to
I
do.
gave my word to myself. I was going to post one picture a day.
Yep.
But
And
sometimes
I love that because a lot of them are my work. So it's like, okay, this
most
is awesome.
of them are your work because
I try to capture them and put them in my story and tag you. That's always my thing is, and I hate to say this, but I love your work. You've done so much of my work that I forget to tag you sometimes, and it drives me
okay.
crazy when I do that because I'll go back. Oh shoot, I forgot to tag Julianne. I got to go back and do that. So if I forget, and I've told
It's
you
all
this
good.
before.
Yeah,
But
it's all good.
You do. I would say 95% of my work now for sure.
Yeah, I'm blessed.
And I would say 100%. I think you shoot every house. Sometimes we'll bring another big name photographer in with the team to
Yeah.
shoot stuff, but you're my first go-to person for sure. And it's because I like working with you. You're just always
Thank
so positive, and everything you said today about the creator mode and your perspective and your attitude, it's just a very can-do sort of mindset.
Thank you.
And I love people like that. The older I get, the more I believe in this stuff because I know it's so true. The less you want to be around people that just don't get it.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is
And it's not that they're like a bad person. It's just like they're just in that.
they're just in that mode.
I call it the victim mode or the creator mode. They're
Yeah,
just in
you're
the
on one
victim
side of the
mode
pendulum or the
where they're
other.
like, I can't do it. I'm not going to be responsible for my own crap. I'm not going
Right.
to be. It's like, let's find a solution.
Yeah.
And it doesn't if you do something wrong, it doesn't mean you're a bad person.
No.
It doesn't mean it's not personal.
Right.
It's like, what can you do to be better?
Right. I'd rather see
So.
someone pushing themselves and making a mistake than someone
Yeah.
just bitching and moaning and complaining about everybody else, and they're not doing
Oh,
anything
for
to make a
sure.
mistake.
Oh, for sure.
Like, get out there and make a couple mistakes.
Well, and then own your mistake.
Yeah,
So
learn
that you
from
can
it.
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least you're doing something. You're moving, like I was
Yeah.
saying, move the car forward. You can't
Yeah.
drive a parked car.
Yeah.
I love that line by Ed Milet. It's just so perfect.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, just get it in gear. Get on the end of the diving board and jump.
Yeah.
You know,
Take the step. And
Yeah.
sometimes
is it fearful? Is it scary?
sometimes.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
That's
Sometimes
what
it's
that's what
really
I've
scary.
learned. That's almost when it's you're on the right track. Sometimes.
Yes.
When it's scary and you're pushing yourself and like, shit, man, I don't know where this is going to go.
I can remember going to photo shoots and being like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm an imposter. I didn't go to school for this photography thing. This is something I
the
just
imposter
love.
mode. Don't you love
Like,
the imposter
yes,
mode?
you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I'm just, but But it's like, well, you become better and better.
Yeah.
So just keep taking
Just
the
keep doing it.
steps.
You never went to photography school, did
No.
you? No.
Absolutely.
I never went to
not.
architecture school, but look what we're doing together. It's pretty good, right?
Well, and two, I think like do what makes you come alive.
Yeah.
Do what you love and that
do
you're
what
good
you
at.
love, right?
You know what I mean? Like.
So what would you do different now? How old are you now, if I can ask you?
I'm 41.
41. You're still young. You're a young gal. You got a lot of time. So at 41, looking back, if you were to tell your 17-year-olds right now, what would you tell them? What would be your lesson to them? I think you've said it in the course of this podcast. I think a lot of it has to do with your perspective.
Oh, yeah. Be present.
Yeah.
Keep your word.
Yeah.
If you say you're going to do something, have integrity.
Just do it.
Yeah, have integrity.
Yeah.
Follow through.
Yep.
I would tell them that anything in life is possible.
Yeah.
Anything in life is possible, and that they get to create it.
Right.
That it's not someone else creating it. And when they, my kids, I have boy teenagers.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're just like, meh, meh, meh. They get all crabby, and you're like, just stop. They get very, I don't know. But it's like, you're the one having that perspective. It's not the other person.
Yeah. I tell you, this is your show.
Yeah.
What kind of show are you going to create out there?
Yeah. Yeah. And then find something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're passionate about it and you love doing it, you're going to be good at it if you keep taking actions towards it.
Yeah. And the money comes at your way when you're doing something that you love and you're passionate about.
Yeah, and honestly in life, like money is nice because it gets you stuff.
Right.
Like you can, have a nice home, have a nice car. Like those things are important. But at the end of the day, what makes you happy isn't your money.
Right.
So find something that you're good at that makes you happy.
And you're passionate about.
Yeah, and the money will come, and then you'll be happy.
Yep. Yep, totally. Yeah, everyone's focusing on the money to get happy. And it's like, don't. Focus on what you want to do.
Yeah.
The money will take care of itself.
I agree.
Totally. So is there any books or podcasts that you like or listen to?
The podcast thing I haven't gotten into a whole lot. I've listened to yours a few times.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
But there are books. I love Brene Brown.
Okay.
Daring Greatly is a great book. I love the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's super simple, yet super profound.
Yep.
Tiffany and I listened to the book You're a Badass.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember the author.
Yeah.
When we were driving down
to Yuma?
Yeah, to Yuma. That's a great book.
Yeah.
I've listened to that one a couple times.
Do you like audiobooks?
I do.
Yeah.
I feel like
So you got a lot of driving. You do a lot of driving.
I drive a lot.
Yeah.
So I live in Mesa. My kids go to school in Scottsdale, so I drive them to school and to and from.
Yeah.
So
you have some time.
I have time, so it's easier to listen than to read.
Yep. No,
So.
that's awesome. So going forward now, 41. I'm almost 60. What's on the agenda for your next 20 years?
Well, I'll continue my photography. I love
Yeah.
it. My husband and I are building a house right now, which
That's
is
cool.
kind of, I've never built a house, so it's kind of exciting. I keep feeling like I would love to do interior design, so maybe I'll go back to school for that.
Yeah. Talk to Isabel.
Yeah, just keep creating my life and doing things that, that
Make you happy.
make me happy
Yeah.
and that are fun.
Yeah.
I'm a yellow personality. Let's go have fun.
Yeah.
I'm driven, I think, a lot by fun.
And I think you realize from what I've heard and what I know about you is, like you said, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Just decide what it is you want to do and just start going after it.
Yeah.
I've learned that you create, like you said, you create your reality. It's like, what I do is I go, I want this. I want to do this. Well, what I start doing, I just start doing it as if I've already got it.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then
okay,
it
I'm going to
comes.
I am that person that I want to be. I'm going to start doing that today.
It's
Then the stuff just comes all of a sudden.
it's like
just
the
weirdest thing.
fearless faith.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not, and sometimes you are afraid, but you still take action.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You create
faith
your
that
own
it will
reality
happen.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. So you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You got these 6 boys. That's got to keep you busy.
So that's something I hope in the future. I hope that my boys can all be raised and be good citizens and be happy.
Yeah. They're all different, I'm sure. 6 boys, they got to be
They're all
totally different.
They all have their own, they all have their own challenges that keep me up at night.
Yeah. Well, especially now that they're in that 17-year-old zone.
Yeah, you're up all night waiting for them to come home.
Oh
You're
my
like,
God. It's
come
hard,
on.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to teach them to be responsible and have integrity, and you're teaching them. So it's definitely a challenge.
Yep. And you
You
wonder
know?
if they listen.
Yeah.
But
Some of
I
them
have a
don't.
31-year-old now, and I can attest that the things I said, she does remember.
She does. Okay.
Yeah. So I think they don't acknowledge it when they're 17, but they do acknowledge it later. They go, "Yeah, you're the one that taught me that." I said,
Yeah.
"You remember that?" I said,
You're like, I did.
"Oh yeah, see." So have faith, Mom.
Ugh.
It's just, you got to outlast them, is what I've learned.
Outlast them.
You just got to outlast them.
I just say, I just got to keep loving them.
Yep,
keep
that's
loving
good.
'em.
You know what?
Keep
That's
loving
really
'em.
good, actually.
Keep loving them.
Just
Keep
keep
loving
loving 'em.
You're being a turd. Oh, I love you.
Yep. Can't argue with love.
No, you really
Love always
can't.
wins.
You can't.
Yep.
You know?
Well, I love you.
Oh, thank you.
You did a great job on this today.
Thank you.
You've did fantastic work.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to all our future collaborations. We got a lot.
Oh, me
We've
too.
got a lot of work ahead of us.
Me too.
So, all right, let's do it.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you too.
What a fantastic podcast. I love that lady. I tell you what, she's got so much energy and she's so positive and she's been through so much. I mean, she's got 6 kids, 6 boys. And she never seems frazzled when I see her. I mean, she's running all over the place and she's doing our photos during the day and then comes back at night and shoots it at twilight. And, you know, she's got her little routine that she does. And she just does such a great job and is always timely, always gets things done, has never let me down. And, I mean, that's the key to success right there is great attitude. She talked about her perspective and, you know, doing what you say. And so it's pretty much that simple, guys, really. I really think it is. And I know we all struggle with it. I'm not perfect, far from it, but always trying to, you know, just learn. And that's the one thing I love about these podcasts is, you know, seeing everybody going through life and their struggles and, you know, what they're learning along the way. And then what's great about the podcast is people are sharing those lessons and everyone can listen. And so I find the whole process of doing these podcasts really, really, I don't know what the right word is. They're really helpful to me. I hope they're helping a lot of other people. So I thank you for listening. We've been growing great. I mean, our podcast is doing so well. And I just appreciate all the encouraging words I get from everybody when I run into you on the street. Just, hey, I love your podcast. It's great. Keep it going. And I just enjoy doing them. So we're going to keep them going for sure. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that convention or whatever you call it on Monday. Conference is the right word, of 40 of the world's top photographers. We're going to be over at Carolyn de Cesare's studio. Her sister is a very accomplished photographer. And so she's kind of spearheading the whole thing. And so stay tuned for a little bit of that. We should have some good footage and stuff on our social media there. And then this weekend, Isabel and I are traking up to Greer. We're going to go hang out with our friends, the Stocketts. Stockett Tile and Granite, great friends of ours, been on many of our trips. And we're just going to go veg out with them up in Greer at their cabin up there and relax, enjoy the snow, maybe get a little skiing in on Saturday. And then Dave and I both love to cook, so he's cooking dinner Friday night, and I'm cooking dinner Saturday night. And then we'll come back Sunday and get back to work. And then I'm off to Miami on, I don't know, whatever day it is, the 12th. Going there for the Lux Hot List party. We made the hot list, and we'll be there with all the hot list winners from around the country. So Vivian and I are going to go check that out. And then I fly from there on Friday to Las Vegas, and we'll be attending my daughter's volleyball tournament there in Las Vegas. Come back Monday, and then I'm going to the Masters of the Southwest event by Phoenix Home and Garden Magazine at the Phoenix Botanical Gardens, and I'm going to celebrate 30 years of the Masters of the Southwest. Mine was in 2005, so 15 years ago, and that should be a real fun evening. I'll have the new inductees for the class of 2020, and I can't wait to see who they bring in. Okay, have a great week, everybody, and make sure your week is filled with inspiring living. I want to say a big thank you to my good friends at Stockett Tile and Granite Company, where your project is our priority. The Stockett team, along with so many others, are coming really close to the finish line in our demonstration kitchen and our new expansion of our Candelaria design offices. I've had the pleasure of working with the Stockett team for nearly 40 years on some amazing projects, and trust me, They are the epitome of excellence when it comes to tile, marble, and granite work, bar none. Their skill and customer service is impeccable, and the bottom line is they are just good people. I have traveled with, dined with, and just had good times both personally and professionally with Dave Stockett and his lovely wife, Becky, and they are the best. When it comes to your next kitchen, make sure Stockett Tile and Granite is part of your team. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.